Hey everybody, I just wanted to take a few moments with you today to talk through some of the potential changes to our bylaws and updates that we need to make as a church. And our board has spent several years, especially an intense kind of last year, looking at our bylaws and just trying to decide how to approach them, if we needed to overhaul everything or if we could just make tweaks here or there. And we've just come to realize that our current document has not been updated for many years, and in the span of time since it has been updated, our church has grown in scope in many ways. The number of people attending, the number of ministries we have, the number of members we have, our staff has increased in a major way, and our budget all have increased dramatically. And this has caused us to look at our current bylaws and just say, man, there's more that actually needs shifted than maybe kept. And so we went into those bylaws and got a lot of advice, researched a lot of different churches, a lot of different bylaws, and came up with a new document that we believe fulfills everything that our church needs for governance and for processes. That's not too invasive, but also gives good guidance to our church to maintain health and accountability in the days and the months ahead. And so I want to talk to you for just a few moments about some of the key changes. This is not every change, but this is key updates that we're hoping to make, or that the board is going to introduce to you here in the month of April. Evangel's become a multi-site, multi-influence church in that we have a campus in Garrison, and we are networking with churches even outside of just Garrison and Bismarck, and so that changes even what some of our governance needs to look like as well. And so we did get advice from an attorney who deals with a lot of churches, and he really guided us to shift away from a constitution and bylaws and just to use bylaws. And so that's one of the shifts we're making, is that all of the governance of our church will be in one set of bylaws rather than divided into a constitution and bylaws. I think his words were that a constitution is an antiquated form of governance for a church, and we needed to move towards bylaws. So that's one of the changes that we're going to make. A major change that we're looking at is having board members nominated by a committee rather than nominated by the membership. And there's several reasons for this right now. A board member only needs 3 nominations to be considered to be on the board. Now, that number came from quite a while ago, and our membership has grown to almost 500 people. And so 3 nominations is me, my wife, and my best friend. And we need something that's just a little bit more selective than that. That sets a little bit of a higher bar. This way of nominating board members hasn't been working well for our church. Even this last year, out of all the members that we do have, less than 60 people actually even submitted nominations. And so that just showed us the membership isn't even actually engaging. So this isn't something we're trying to take away from membership, but we're not getting even the engagement from membership that would make this process work. Both in 2020 and 2021, only 10 to 15% of members responded to those nominations, and that caused also those nominations to be all over the place. Lots of people with 1 or 2 votes, and lots of people with 3 votes, and then a few people with a higher number of votes. And it just seems that the nominations aren't honed in on really the type of board members that our board now requires as they function at a higher level financially, legally, and even on a spiritual eldership level. And so we are looking at a nominating committee that would nominate board members that then the membership could still sign off on, still vote on, and ratify, but the board and a nominating committee would vet those nominees before the membership voted on them. We also want to do this process differently because a lot of people just aren't letting their name stand if they are nominated for the board. So 17 people nominated in 2021, 4 of their names stood. 20 people in 2020, 5 names stood. 16 people in 2019, and 2 people let their names stand. So that's between 12 and 25% only that are letting their names stand. And we would love to be able to find potential board members, train them, embed godly character deeper in their lives before they're ever even selected or nominated to be on the board. And I think that just creates a healthier board culture and spiritual culture as well, as these people are serving as elders, spiritual elders of our church in many ways. Also want to let you know that our board is looking at changing how our lead pastor is voted on, and it's awkward for me to be the one to express this to you, but I'm expressing what I've heard from our board and what their position is on the document that you'll receive. One of the concerns our board has had is that a lot of churches our size, actually we don't have any peer or sister churches, especially our size, but even many in our network that are voting on their pastor, especially after an initial vote and then another confirmation vote. It's just not happening that pastors are on a 3-year vote long into their term. I've taken 3 votes personally, and we just don't see churches doing that. Right now, it's not a good form of accountability. In fact, churches that have needed to bring accountability to a pastor and have relied on a congregational vote, we've seen it not work out in the way that it's supposed to many times, though I'm sure there are stories where it has been successful. But a major concern for our board is just that this style of accountability in a church, if Janae and I were to ever move on, would become a major deterrent from a high-level leader coming and leading Evangel, and Evangel getting the kind of pastor that it needs moving forward. Pastors just are not used to submitting themselves to this kind of accountability where they're voted on by the congregation every 3 years. And so the board has been interested in moving that vote for quite some time. Our current protocol could be a threat to our church, actually. We have about 3,000 people that come through our church every month, we believe, and less than 100 people, based on the quorum at a business meeting, could remove the lead pastor. And so we just believe there's better forms of accountability. One of these forms is that we're going to introduce an official role for overseers in our church. These overseers have no governance authority unless invited in by our elder board, or the board of what is currently known as the Board of Deacons. If there were an issue with the lead pastor, the elder board could call on overseers to come and give an assessment or to help the elder board hold the lead pastor accountable. These overseers would be people like our superintendent, Winston Titus, would be a great person as an overseer. It would be seasoned pastors that our church has relationship with still, who could step in moments of crisis, or if there ever was division or an issue with the lead pastor, they're people that our board could call on to help navigate that crisis, or to bring accountability to a lead pastor in an area that there was concern. And so that's another shift to our governance, and we believe a better form of accountability. I've just seen personally in a lot of the churches we've worked with that sometimes the board doesn't have the will to hold the lead pastor accountable. The congregation doesn't have the knowledge or the will to hold the lead pastor accountable, and we see pastors shipwrecking churches because there's not a good accountability structure. And I plan on staying healthy, but I want to protect the church for the future. And we've seen that this overseer role, by involving our local network or our national network, can be a real source of strength for our board if there ever was an issue that they needed to deal with. And again, if you have questions about these things, we'd love to meet with you, love to talk you through them, as I'm covering them really quickly and they're complicated things. I want you to know that Evangel is our church name. We do business as Evangel. Formally in this document, it's Evangel Assemblies of God, or Evangel Assembly of God. We've tried to eliminate any confusion about what our name is. We still get mail to Evangel, Evangel Church, Evangel Temple, Evangel Assembly of God, and we've really tried to confine that down to one name and have built everything around Evangel. However, I don't want you to have any question that I'm committed to the Assemblies of God. I'm a board member of AG Trust. I'm the grad school committee chair for Trinity Bible College and Graduate School. I'm a presbyter for the North Dakota Ministry Network. I serve on the vision team with Superintendent Titus for the network, and I serve on a national level in a few different capacities, and so we're all in supporting the Assemblies of God. But as far as our function goes with our name, that's not front and central to our branding, and there's a lot of explanation, especially at the sessions where we can gather and talk about these things, that I can explain that in further detail. But I know there's many of you that when you moved to town, you looked for the Assemblies of God Church because you believe in the institution, you wanted to be a part of that, and times and generations have changed and people are looking for different things. And so while we still honor the institution, we have to reach people in a different way. And so we're fully supporting our heritage and our Assembly of God roots, and I'm all in personally on that, but we're also going about reaching our community in the best way possible. And I would love to explain that more if it would be valuable to somebody who's listening or watching. I also want you to know that one of the asks we're going to make of our membership is to increase the board's ability to make financial decisions. Our bylaws are currently very restrictive. This has caused some difficulty with opportunities that we've had to say no to, especially in regards to leasing property. Our board handles a major, you saw it at the annual business meeting, $4.8 million budget each year, but in order to lease a space, they're not able to lease over a few $1,000s, and so there's just this discrepancy in the board's ability to make financial decisions, especially in regards to property. We have a high capacity board, they're men of high integrity, and as opportunities keep coming to us, we need to give the board a little bit more flexibility to make those decisions, and while still giving our membership full exposure to the finances and the decisions that are being made. And so you'll see that change as well in the document. I want to just give you one last thing. This is not a major thing, but it could feel major to somebody. In our bylaws that we're going to present to you, the 16 fundamental truths, the statement of our fundamental beliefs, used to be listed fully in our bylaws. In what we're going to submit to you, it will just say that we adhere to the 16 fundamental truths of the Assemblies of God. And I've already had somebody ask me why we don't list them all. And there's a really simple answer. We affirm those beliefs. Our pastors sign on the dotted line that they uphold those beliefs every year. However, when we write something out in its full text, like all 16 of those fundamental truths, it takes several pages. But there's also a lot of words there, and occasionally the national office will tweak how things are written. And every time they tweak that, for us to be in compliance, we have to come back and make an amendment to our bylaws in order to be in alignment with the national office. Where if we just say, hey, we adhere to what the national office is saying are our fundamental truths, then we don't have to go back and tweak language if the national office changes anything. It just keeps us in compliance with how they're updating our fundamental truths. And so I know there's many of you that hold those truths valuable, and we do as well. We just want a document that's not going to have to be amended repeatedly based on words or just the shifting of a little bit of language to make something sound better. And so if you have any concerns, I want to open the door to my office as I'm available, open the door to our board, and please don't let anything fester. Please don't question our intentions or our motives. Our goal is transparency. Our goal is obviously to get these new bylaws passed, but we want them to pass with unity and with our church on board. So thanks for taking several minutes for me to explain a few of these things, and please reach out or attend one of our listening sessions if you have some feedback that you want to give. We love you, and thank you for being a part of this process.